Today, we're going to discuss something that I ironically don't have much of at the moment, and that is time. Time is one of those things that the rabbit hole goes deep, and you can spend your entire life dedicated to investigating it. It is one of the premier mysteries that we have been trying to explain. And I guess if you have the type of temperament or personality where you really like to get under the hood and inspect all of the various mechanisms, you can dive deep into the science of it. You can go into the philosophy of it, and I'm sure that that rabbit hole goes to some wacky places. But the way that I approach things is I look at things somewhat at a surface level, and I simply observe how things operate. Or I guess I could more clearly phrase it as I watch what things do. And from that position, I begin to sort of reverse engineer. I begin to reverse engineer things. And I guess in an attempt to get to the origin, this is the path that I choose to take. And when it comes to time, the thing that I observe that it does is it changes things. That seems to be its primary function, to cause some sort of change. And I guess this may be hard for people who are born into a certain framework to understand or to visualize. But if you envision time as a medium, the same way you would view air or water, the same way that the ocean or water is a medium to a fish, if you can somehow externalize and view time as the medium that we are all swimming through, it is like an invisible mist or an immaterial miasma that, for whatever reason, whenever or whatever comes into contact with it is forced to undergo some sort of change. And I may be showing my age here, but it is kind of like in the video game Dark Souls. There is a portion of the map that contains a swamp. And when you enter this swamp, it begins to poison you and to drain your health. And as long as you stay in this swamp, this effect will continue until you eventually run out of health and die in the video game. If you are able to switch the way that you think and kind of view time as an invisible, immaterial version of this swamp. And ultimately, what I do believe is time is one of the fundamental magical forces. The way that it works, when you really get down to the bottom of it, I believe that you'll realize that it is magic. It is something that it is almost as if you can compare it to a fire placed underneath a portion of water in a pot. And eventually this water comes to a boil. It is like an engine that is constantly turning things over. I guess I heard Terrence McKenna phrase it as it is a novelty conserving engine. And I do believe that novelty is a good term to use, because every moment something new is forced to happen. It is kind of like chess. You see, chess is currently unsolved due to the sheer amount of possibilities and the amount of moves you can make. But there is one prohibited move, and that is to not make a move at all. That is the engine that keeps the game going. You see, you cannot decide to not move. Eventually, something has to happen, and this is the representation of time. Something has to happen at all times, and whatever happens will be new. And obviously, this is all quite complicated and tricky to explain, but if you view it as we are all inside of an alchemical stew, we are all inside of this alchemical pot, and the fire that is boiling this mixture is what time is. I guess in a way you could say it's cooking us alive. But when you view time, or if you view all of life as we are in a big alchemical pot, we are a part of an alchemical stew, and time is the fire underneath this pot cooking it. All of these sacred scriptures suggest that whatever superior entity that is waiting for us at the end of time will taste us and judge us based on our flavors. That is to say that based on how we turned out, or essentially what we did with this time, will ultimately determine how we are judged or consumed in the end. And this is a constant motif, and flavors that are considered undesirable and unfavorable will be spat out. And according to at least the Abrahamic framework, is they will be cast out into a place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And I guess I'm not exactly sure what that means. I don't know if that is supposed to be some sort of hell with eternal suffering, or if it's just a realm where nothing ever happens at all, or if I'm not exactly quite sure. In the end, I guess this is all just my opinions and rantings on this subject. Obviously, this isn't the end all be all, and I could be wrong, but talking about this sort of thing is really one of the more mind-bending things you can attempt to do. But talking about this sort of thing it makes my head hurt. So I've run out of time. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day.